Hello, my name is Kenneth Clark, and I'm here to speak to you today about the legalization of marijuana, more specifically, the recreational use of marijuana. Currently, our government is stuck in a $21 trillion deficit. And while this is happening, we still feel the need to fight a war against drugs that is costing us literally $132 million a day. Something that nearly ground this country to a halt financially was the Iraqi war. And this cost is more than half of the cost of that war on a daily, day-to-day basis. The difference is this war's been going on since 1971. It's probably time that it's about time for it to come to an end. There are more reasons for it to come to an end other than just financial. The fact is, marijuana is one of the least addictive drugs known to man. Alcohol has an addiction rate of 15%. Marijuana is 9%. Opioids, something that most of you might be familiar with, Vicodin, 23%, 23 to 27 in fact. And these are all figures according to Psychology Today and Scientific American, and articles published this year in late December, I believe. The idea that we can take a drug that is so much less addictive, legalize it, and make it not only safer by incorporating purity laws, by taxing it, by licensing it, we do a few things. We take away a gang's money, their reason to kill in the streets. One of the biggest financial providers for gangs in this country and for many of the cartels is the trafficking of marijuana, which would come to an immediate cessation the second that it became legal across the country. We would have no reason to fight a war that no one can win. Beyond the financial situations, there is this money that can come in. Now we see in Colorado and in Washington State where this money brings in $130 million a year and $220 million a year, respectively. The money that is being used, that money is being used to build new schools, to finance rehab programs, not for marijuana users, but in fact for abusers of opioids and alcohol, which is something that has been cut back extremely, both schools funding and a drug abuse programs funding from the federal government over the last few years because of this problem we have with our deficit. This is not a cure-all. It never was considered to be one. No one wants you to think that it is. At least I don't want you to think that. But I think that we could get somewhere by looking at who it is that's trying to keep this drug illegal. Now, in the beginning, it was something that Nixon wanted. He got a report. It disagreed with him. He wanted marijuana to be made illegal because of on a scientific basis that it was dangerous. He got back a report that said it wasn't. He had that report altered, and his Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Justice changed it and made marijuana a Schedule I drug, no further questions asked. Since then, a lot more studies have been done, more legitimate studies, and it finds that one of the few things that marijuana does, one of the only things that really can be found that marijuana does that alcohol doesn't do, is for those people who are already predisposed to schizophrenia, it actually increases the likelihood of schizophrenic episodes. Beyond that, though, unlike alcohol, marijuana is a reasonable treatment, according to Psychology Today, for PTSD, for pain. Now, who would want you to keep from having this to happen? This would be what we now call big pharma. The people who are trying to keep this from happening are prison unions, prison guard unions, the builders of private prisons. those corporations. Police unions, and finally, as I may have stated before, the pharmacy companies, well, no, I'm sorry, the alcohol and beer companies. They want these things this marijuana to disappear because it would cut into their profits. And their profits, however, that are not being shared with the rest of the country. Though that money is going into a big corporate machine that we never see again, whereas this marijuana would actually go, the money from marijuana would actually go to helping cure a lot of the things that we have problems with now, mostly a huge opioid problem in this country. It can be used to treat that. Not to mention the fact that, as I said, the taxes from that could pay for that treatment. It's incredible. Colorado and Washington State have seen a 88% decrease in arrests made for marijuana. Made period. Because there's no reason, there's no law to arrest these people anymore. That saved them money on finance, on processing and housing these criminals. We spend $32 million a day housing prisoners whose only crime is a first count of marijuana possession. That's insane. It should have never happened. Prison guards have been told, and I was privy to this information because I was at a meeting, that if they were to lose those prisoners that were held for marijuana and marijuana trafficking, which represents about 13% of the population of the prisoners, that they would have to cut back their overtime to nothing in order for them to balance out the books. There would be so fewer people to watch. The shifts would need to cut down, and instead of losing guards, they choose to, at least this union would choose to cut the overtime, which is a huge expense for them. But these people don't want to lose that. So they have lobbyists in there making sure that we never hear what we need to hear. Our legislators never hear what they need to hear. This drug is less dangerous by far than alcohol and tobacco. Any effect that it has is half of what alcohol does to anyone. And you can never ever reach an overdose. It doesn't make any sense to keep making it illegal when it costs so much, and a simple shift in attitude could make such a big difference in the way that this country works, and the people that are now suffering, how they could be helped so greatly by. I think it's time now for us to finally say we're not listening anymore to Nixon and his cronies. This is a new world. It's a world that is filled with debt. It's a debt that we need to pay down and eventually overcome. This can't be done as long as we're still fighting a war that costs us $132 million a day to fight. That's crazy. I think it's time that we all get together, talk to our legislators, and let them know that we're tired of it. We can't do anything about a problem that's hiding once we bring it out into the open and deal with it, tax it, regulate it. These things will make a difference I think that we'll all appreciate. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. If there are any questions, please leave them in the comments for this video.